So, after so many people contacting me within the last 48 hours regarding a civil suit that I am filing against a church on Staten Island, I have decided to go live and make a video kind of explaining myself. Again, for those of you who do know me, I am the son of a woman who was quite a prominent preacher on Staten Island 5 years ago. Her name was Maggie Howard. She passed away due to complications regarding COVID, unfortunately. It was a horrible experience for me. I had the unfortunate pleasure of walking in the house and finding my mother's atrophied and lifeless body on her bedroom floor. Horrible experience. Something I would not wish on my worst enemy. That is the truth, people. There is nothing that will affect you so greatly as finding someone you love deceased. It's something that really psychologically fucks with you, excuse the language. And it took me a long time to at least get to a position that that I could talk like this, that I could speak, and not be not be emotionally affected by what's going on, because it was a traumatic experience, people. I have to be honest. So in that trauma, thank you. In that trauma, I have learned certain practices that help me transition my own pain, because that's all trauma is about. Trauma and grief is about pain, recovery, and I want to say the process of grief is about accepting what happened to you and learning how to manage your pain. Because the truth is, it never goes away. You just learn how to deal with it well enough that you can live your life. And I'm fortunate and blessed to say that that is eventually what happened to me. It wasn't easy because I had so many people who claimed to care about me trying to sabotage my own grief recovery. But people, God is good and it worked for me. So I got a bunch of calls from people really on Staten Island who really wanted to know why I would be suing this pastor, Victor Allen Brown. And people, here's the truth. I am suing Victor Allen Brown because he is scum and he is a pathological liar. Now, back in, I believe it was February and March of last year, people, I made public appeals to this pastor for him he didn't even have to go public. He could have done it in his church, people, because the truth of the matter is this pastor, Victor Brown, knew that every accusation against me was a lie. But see, people, such is the power of men who need to control their reputation through fraud and deceit. Because this pastor, once my case was dismissed, he needed to verify within his church that the all-seeing pastor was correct about me. So what he did is something similar to what the Staten Island district attorneys did after my ex was convicted for violating the New Jersey Prevention of Domestic Violence Act. Public appearance, public perception, propaganda, manipulation of the media. This is something that law enforcement and really people who want power have learned to master. The aggrandizement of someone using media and marketing really began with the Nazis, with a man named Joseph Goebbels. He is probably the father of modern day propaganda and marketing and delivering a message to a mass of people to which can change the perception of those people. It's not the best example using Nazi Germany, but that is truly the father of propaganda, is probably Joseph Goebbels. So people speak so much about the Nazis and the evil that they did, but if you would be surprised to know how much of the practices of these people have been adopted into the modern day United States economic life. Most of these scientists that had to do with the Manhattan Project were German that were brought over here after World War II. So much of these things that the Germans did has secretly been incorporated into our faculty and foundation of life. Much like the ability that law enforcement, public officials, and people who want to manipulate the public, this is what they study. They start with their foundation by starting with the propaganda expert who was Joseph Goebbels. So Michael McMahon's office and the biased and racist prosecutors in there are no exception to that. See, to begin to understand what happens when you deal with corruption in a prosecutor's office, you have to truly understand the history of law enforcement in this country. The police departments were not the creation of the government to protect its citizens. The police departments actually originate from what it was called slave patrols, groups of white men with the authority of the state behind them, charged with the responsibility of tracking down runaway slaves, suppressing riots, and basically keeping Negroes in line. Once the oh my God, so I'm sorry, people, I had a long day at work. Once the Civil War happened and slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation came into a place, they had to replace these slave patrols because people's slavery was no longer legal. So what happened is these slave patrols were kind of transitioned and recreated to be your local police department. Now, you can't blame everything on the creation of the police department because even though the police may have arrested people, the United States judicial system doesn't work like that. The way the judicial system works is that a offender is charged, he's brought before the court, and allegedly he's granted the opportunity to prove his innocence because the United States judicial system says we are innocent until proven guilty. But the exception to that is if you happen to be a minority, because minorities have been judged guilty and have to prove their innocence since the Civil War and since the creation of the current U.S. Criminal justice system. We're always guilty minorities. We're working backwards. We don't come into a situation being innocent and happen being innocent, the court judging us bipartisan innocent. No, when a black man, when a Hispanic man, when an Asian man, when a minority man walks in the court and he's accused of an act of, let's say, domestic violence, a robbery, naturally, the position of this court is to automatically assume this guy is guilty. And that's just the truth of the United States legal system. So as minorities, as men, as people who are violated and our civil rights are violated, we begin immediately working to establish our innocence, despite the fact that the prosecutors and the system is doing everything in their power to prove us guilty. Now, a prosecutor's job is to prove your guilt. I won't diminish them in any capacity. When the prosecutor is charged with the responsibility of holding someone accountable for a crime, what they will do is do their job because their job is to prove you are guilty. Their job is not to prove you're innocent. Their job is to convict you and prove you are innocent. But there are certain guidelines that these prosecutors have to follow before they can truthfully enforce their right to have you prosecuted. Now, in many cases, prosecutors will come across something known as exculpatory evidence. And exculpatory evidence is evidence that clears you of a crime. My problem was that I was falsely accused of crimes, and this pastor, Victor Allen Brown, happened to be a clergy lieutenant within the local Staten Island criminal police departments. Staten Island is an incredibly small place. So a man like Pastor Brown, it's easy for him to manipulate his way into a position of power because there's really no one else like him in such a small, insignificant community as Staten Island. I love Staten Island. It's a place I grew up, but the truth of the matter is everyone knows everyone, people. It's like the countryside of New York City. That's the truth, people. And I'm sorry, Staten Islanders. I know you hate it. Most of you want to be from Queens. You want to be from Brooklyn. You want to be from any place else other than Staten Island. But the reality is you're from Staten Island. Fucking deal with it. So, people, we have an entrenched system of corruption in Staten Island. We're sellout minorities like this pastor, Victor Allen Brown, like many of the minority advocates and public officials. Charles Fall is one of them, Debbie Rose. All of these people pretend to be for the rights of the community. But the truth is, people, they're for themselves. Everything they do is for themselves. Every maneuver they make is for themselves. Every public appearance they give for themselves is for themselves. Every cause that they happen to undertake is something to aggrandize their own position. These public advocates, these public officials like Charles Fall, Debbie Rose, the people from True to Life, people, they are pathological lying pieces of shit. And I don't say this lightly because I have hatred for them. People, I can't hate people I don't really know. My mother knew these people, and my mother knew the truth about Debbie Rose. I remember for a fact my mother telling me Debbie Rose was a complete liar. But my mother was the type of person who would forgive you despite your transgressions. Debbie Rose used to lie to her all the time to convince my mother to speak out and help her get votes. And then once she got elected, she really didn't do anything for my mother. And this is a fact. My mother told me this. So, people, the greatest mistake I made was assuming that these people were actually good, righteous people. The truth is they're not. They're scum. This pastor, Victor Brown, is a scumbag. So, people, again, let's backtrack back to last year, back to February and March, when I was making these public outcries for Victor Allen Brown to retract the statements of Francina Evans, which were given in his church in front of the podium, which is attached to my previous post, where she is accusing me of parental abuse, killing my dead mother, and being mentally ill. Now, people, all of that was a lie that this girl created by stealing the domestic violence records of my mother and the mental history records of my estranged father, so she could file court petitions on me. People, this bitch is crazy. And I say that because the truth is Francina Evans is crazy. She's a pathological liar, people. But see, the greatest problem that a black man will face in domestic violence is the fact that law enforcement is so entrenched to work against us, they will deny you your victim rights. And see, people, this is what happened to me, but it didn't happen to me alone. It wasn't just the white man, as they say, that did this to me. No, black people did this to me too. Black pieces of shit like Victor Allen Brown. Victor Allen Brown has been a lustful, wife-cheating thief for the last 30 years. Now, people, I knew this. I knew this man was a deplorable, low-level scumbag. But see, people, out of respect for the cloth, out of respect for his position, out of respect for the ministry, because my mother was a minister most of my life, I kept quiet about what I felt about Pastor Brown. I never said anything about this man publicly. I never did anything to try to diminish him or lower his position in the eyes of anyone who was in his church. The only person I ever spoke to about Pastor Victor Allen Brown was my ex-girlfriend. And the reason was is that she was trying to convince me to go to his church. Now, people, I know for a fact that this man is not about what he preaches. I had a mother who was about what she preaches. So I felt that the biggest dishonor I could ever give to the memory of my mother was becoming a member of a pathological lying-ass nigga's church. And I expressed this to my ex. I said, listen, I do have something against him, but I don't want to diminish your ability to practice your own faith, and I will support you in that. But as far as me going to that church, I can't do that because I know what he's truly about. And I feel I would be dishonoring my mother by going to this man's church knowing he's a pathological liar and a scumbag. The worst part about dealing with a woman who pretends to be true and pretends to be a really good person, people, is that you really can't tell she's a piece of shit until she goes bad on you. And that's exactly what happened with me and Francina Evans. See, people, my ex was an amazing liar. I feel sorry for any man she's dating because, dude, you got some shit coming. It may seem like it's peachy now, but, dude, once you get entrenched in that relationship, and let's say your relationship becomes so strong, she starts to drift away from the thirsty-ass mother and grandmother, you're going to have the same problems as me. I was horribly lied on by this woman, and I did nothing to her but try to stay the fuck away from her. And the worst part about this, people, is my mother sacrificed so many years of her life trying to reestablish this lying, disgusting, deplorable pastor's credibility. And upon her death, he worked with every ounce of his energy and used all his connections to frame me for acts of domestic violence he knew I didn't commit. Now, see, people, I could leave it alone. I could say to myself, you know something, Clayton, it's not that deep. You got out of it. They dropped the charges, go live your life. I could do all of that. But see, the problem is, people, it didn't end for me once my charges got dropped because my ex is fucking crazy. She decided to start stalking me throughout the state of New Jersey, filing false reports on me. And people, if you think I'm lying, this is one I got today. You probably can't see it, but I got this today. People, this girl files these fucking municipal complaints on me on everywhere. Just because you might not see her publicly talking about me does not mean she's still not stalking me and lying through her fucking teeth. See, the truth about Francina Evans is she is crazy. She is mentally disabled, and she's a pathological liar, and that's what makes her so dangerous over the average physically abusive domestic violence offender. See, she's using intelligence. She's manipulating the law. She's falsifying records and manipulating racist cops in her favor. And to a black man who is dealing with the oppression of a corrupt law enforcement system currently, because that's the climate that black men live into, she puts my life in danger by lying on me to the police as much as she can. Now, Victor Allen Brown is a black man who pretends to care about the black community and the rights of God-fearing people. But people, I'm a man who was framed, and to protect his own pride and ego, he refuses to step up and tell the truth and simply apologize to me and my mother. People, I found my mother dead on the floor. If anyone knows what that feels like, you know the pain that causes someone. Why do I not deserve the apology of a man who framed me and lied through his teeth on me? See, any member of his church who's looking at me like I'm negative, I'm the devil, the truth is that you're not Christians. Because if you could condone your pastor lying on someone this bad and then lacking the integrity to tell the truth, then the truth is you have no Christian nature to you. So I don't really give a damn about any member of Mt Sinai Church who has a problem. Don't worry. I'm not looking for a physical problem with you. I know most of you clown-ass people on Staten Island don't really want that problem. As soon as I beat the hell out you, you're just going to go tell the cops. And Mike McMahon is so thirsty to get something on Clayton Howard, he's going to run and arrest me. So people, nobody on Staten Island has to worry about me whooping your ass. I'm going to beat you with a lawsuit. I'm going to beat you with complaints. I'm going to beat you by contacting the media. Hence why I sued Mt Sinai Church. First thing I did, people, is I started investigating people, and I found as many people that could corroborate the true nature of the relationship with my late mother. The next thing I did was I found as much proof as I could to prove the connection between Francina Evans and Victor Brown. And then I found proof of every time he supported her after those charges got dropped. Once I together, people, I contacted an attorney who 100 actions of this pastor at Mount Sinai Church supported the defamation being imposed on me by Francina Evans, and he took my case. I thought about it for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, people, and I asked Pastor Brown again to give him the opportunity to retract his statement. But sometimes in people, you have to, sometimes in life's way to overcome a situation is just to become a realist. For those of you who don't know what the definition of a realist is, someone who accepts the situation for the reality of what it is, regardless of whatever the outcome may be for himself. I can accept the reality of my situation, people. That Alan Brown is a jealous, hating, disgusting human being. That he will never admit to lying on me, because lying on me and admitting that diminish his own credibility in the eyes of his church. And he needs to keep feeding off these people like the parasitic piece of shit he is. People, he manipulates his church into thinking they're supporting God, but the truth is your donations are going to a house in North Carolina. Your donations are paying for a car for his wife or his suits. You bum ass nigga, you need to figure out how you can open your own business and stop being a parasite off of people who work to just support them. You get favor from God, because that's all ministers like you do. You lie to them. You give them false impressions that you're connected to God. When the truth is Satan, that the only thing you're doing to this church for a one-way express train right to the gates of damn hell. Victor Allen, the most deplorable, scandalous black pastor on Staten Island, people. He has new allegations within the history of him being the pastor of that church, of inappropriate contact with women, of cheating on his wife, people, of misappropriating. How is this man held to such a level of credibility, people, is beyond me, because Victor Allen Brown is scum. He has been scum since I was a child, people. I'm not someone who is just slandering him. People, I can prove that I've known this man since I was 10 years old, and I also have my mother's journals where she talks about Victor Allen Brown in great detail, people. Again, I'm the child of this woman who used to sit outside her office and listen to Victor Brown while he told my mother he made mistakes and made the mistake of cheating on his wife. The you clown ass nigga, you weak. The flesh ain't weak, you weak. Because the man of God and the pastor supports church. You don't cheat on your wife and then disrespect your wife, dude. That makes you a clown, and that's what Victor Brown is. So, people, I really put some thought into it, because, again, people, my mission is not to destroy any church. The church, despite the fact that I may not like what ministers respect, people, my mission is not to destroy any place that people receive spiritual food from, or excuse me, the support they need to live their life. My mission, name of my mother. My mission is to declare the name of myself, and my mission is to expose anyone, any piece of shit who would manipulate to frame me for something I didn't do. And unfortunately, if you're a member of Mt Sinai Church, is your pastor. Your pastor is a pathological liar. Your pastor knew that I was an innocent man being lied on by Laura Owens and Francina Evans for something I never did. But to protect his own image, he kept the bullshit going, trying to falsely position me as an offender against Francina, when he knew the truth was I was doing everything in my power to stay away from her, and I had been granted a final lifetime, no contact, 1,000-way restraining order against her prior to that now. See, people, a pastor, a true man, told his church this. He wouldn't have participated in this madness, and even more so, mother, he would have worked to obtain a peace between us, because that's what pastors are really about: control, making peace, not keeping people at odds, not falsifying negativity and false conduct and violating the rights of someone else. Real people, real pastors, and people who are ordained by God, they don't look for negativity or lies. They focus on mediating situations. They focus on being a help to people. Victor Allen Brown was to me. He was a complete cat to be falsely arrested numerous times because he was mad I exposed him to be a wife-cheating thief of a bitch-ass nigga that he actually is. So, people, a lot of you listening to me might be like, yo, this guy's cursing out a pastor, he's wild, and I'm cursing out a piece of shit. He happened to get a collar, and he's positioned himself before the public like he's a righteous man. People, don't let someone costume to fool you to what they really are. Come up here if I come up here with a Jay-Z or LeBron mask on with a Lakers jersey, that mean I'm LeBron James? Freaking no, I'm not LeBron James just because I got a Lakers jersey on, a receding hairline and a LeBron mask. No, I stole it. Victor Brown is not a righteous pastor. He's not a man of God just because he takes a cheap ass under his button-down shirt. No, anybody could do that, people. And if you look through the history of crime and as far as fraud with ministers, you'll see that that's the greatest fraud that's able to be imposed on a massive group of people is pretending that you're a spiritual leader. How is Victor Brown any different? What type of pastor refused to grant someone that they lied on the dignity of the truth? What type of pastor refuses to correct a lie that was told on a woman who supported and mentored him to protect his own selfish, disgusting ass reputation? See, people, here's the truth. I might use profanity. I might be a little bit of rough around the edges, but I'm not a liar. I'm an honest person who unfortunately was horribly lied on by this pastor. So people, to obtain my civil rights, to force him in a position to acknowledge that he lied on me and my mother, I have filed a civil lawsuit against him. And people, I'm going to win because he should have told the truth, people. That's why he's being sued. He's not being blatant how it is vindictive. He's not being sued because I just want to destroy him. People, I beg this pastor, Victor Allen Brown, to tell the truth, which abused my mother. I never abused Francina Evans, and it was a lie, every word she was saying. But people, just to protect his own cornball, sucker-ass reputation, he lied on me. He preached sermons about me in church, and people, he refuses to tell the truth regarding what happened with Francina Evans. So members of Mt Sinai Church, I got to sue your church. And I hope your pastor's insured, because if he's not insured, so you guys might be having church in Clove Lake Park. You might have to set up 50 or 60 chairs, and Victor might have to start giving you guys sermons in the park because he lied to people. And the truth of the matter is, regardless of the fact that he has a collar, a congressional pin, a fucking presidential medal, he does not have the name an innocent person and think he's going to hide behind his clergy position to escape responsibility. People, this is 2025. This is the year that nobody escapes. If you did something, you're going to be, and that's just what it is. People, justice and victim rights. On behalf of every victim who has been horribly denied the rights of a victim by an unfair law enforcement and public officials to purposely deprive you of your civil rights, I am here to fight for my story. I'm here to tell every person going through something like I'm going, you are not alone. People do things like this to victims all the time, and if you're weak, if you lack the strength to stand up and fight the people who are doing this to you, then you're always going to be this fucking sucker. My mother didn't raise me to be no sucker. She never encouraged me to bow down to anybody. And people, I will never take a knee for a man who is less. Victor Allen Brown is less than me. Just because he has a ministerial collar on does not mean he's a righteous or a good man. People, many people who have put the collar on have deplorable pieces of shit. And Victor Brown is no different than those pastors who have been exposed to be deplorable pieces of shit. People, he could easily contact me and say, you know something, I'm sorry, imagine what you went through, still losing your mother, because I know you guys were close. But people, his pride is so great, he refuses to grant the son of a dead woman an apology or false information that he spread. So people, I have to destroy him and fucking destroy that church. And people, I'm going to say, I'm after destruction. I want him to pay for what he did to me. And I'm not wrong for that. I'm not wrong for wanting to expose people who lied on me and tried to destroy my life. And no victim is. As a victim, anyone has the right to vindicate themselves. Anyone. And if anyone tells you as a victim that you don't have the right to advocate for your victim rights, they're against you and you should cut them the hell off. I'm going to give you some examples before I go. A woman who's raped, she can talk about that shit for 20 years, and every other woman will take the podium and clap for her, people, and they'll support her. A woman who's physically abused people, she can talk about that man in public, and still these biased women will come together and support her. People, why can't a man do that? Why can't a man talk about the things that legitimately happened to him? that have been substantiated in a court after trial and be given the rights of a real victim, people. I'll tell you why. That man will never get the rights of a victim as long as he's black and assaulted by the racist prosecutors and cops that are in that sell out minorities like Pastor Victor Brown. See, people, the same way that the house niggas used to help the master control the slaves is the same way Victor Allen Brown helps the racist bitch Michael McMahon lock up innocent people, because that's what he did to me. They framed me. They set me up on a false domestic violence complaint. My ex-girlfriend before St. John honored her as victim of the year, so everyone who knew what was going on between us would see she's back by the Richmond County DA's office and would regard the fact that she had been convicted of a domestic violence offense and there was a lifetime restraining order against her. People, how not corruption? How is it not corruption that a prosecutor would falsify evidence and create a false narrative? The victim of a crime is actually the offender. People are silent. How the hell can you go through this? How do you go through this knowing the racism and bias within your local police department and district attorney's office? The action is actually going to happen where Staten Island is made up in a place until you house niggas out there who refuse to accept the truth of your situation, stand advocates, like true minorities, like people who are truly concerned for the rights of everybody, not just white people, not just black people, not just men, not just women, but anyone who is victimized. Advocate, you have an obligation to speak for that person. Here before you sits the true victim, who was horribly denied by the Staten Island District Attorney's Office after they lied on me and actually denied me the right to participate in domestic violence offenses, even though they're a victim. How is that justice, people? See, my mission, my obligation is to expose the corruption within the NYPD and Staten Island District Attorney's Office, because men, I'm the only person who went through this. Hundreds of thousands of men go through this throughout New York City, because the entire family court process is a fucking sham, people. It's racket where they use these order of protections to arrest fathers and minority men. People, they'll arrest you as a minority if a person says you breathe too hard on them with an order of protection. But let you black man, let you Spanish man have an order of protection again, and you practically have to be freaking murdered before the cops will step up and do anything to her. How is that not gender bias, discrimination? When you got white cops who will sit there and come arrest you as a minority man, but when your woman who's attractive goes, they're placating her, they're babying her. You pussy, you know pussy getting clown ass dudes. This is how you get women, by attacking the men who don't want them anymore to hope you gain favoritism with the women. This is the sick nature we live in with the regards to the judicial system, family courts and criminal courts that support these domestic violence cases that the police and law enforcement know is false. People, again, I'm on a mission. My mission is to expose the corruption of every law enforcement that violated my civil rights. And people, I don't give a damn about going to jail. I don't give a damn about them trying to attack me anywhere they want. People, they can never destroy the truth of the words I'm saying. That I was framed by Detective Joseph Quirk. That framing came in part by the support of Michael McMahon, a lieutenant within the NYPD, given that lieutenant status by a clergy order, and the district attorney of Michael McMahon, who was sexually attracted to my ex, so decided to falsify information to me and empower his prosecutors to maliciously prosecute me. How is that justice? To every black man who has seen what I'm going through on Staten Island, y'all fucking dudes are suckers, because about anything, the last thing you would do is sit back and let someone be prosecuted and not speak up about it. But people are so good. I had a great mother who raised me to be strong. So here's the thing, people. I'm disappointed with these clown ass niggas on Staten Island. I'm good at filing lawsuits. I've become very good at explaining my position legally, and now I have the attorneys necessary to hold everybody accountable for something they did. Again, people, this is not about revenge. This is about justice. This is about the justice of his protected rights, because everyone wanted to protect the pathological liar. There's consequences when you do. And if you supported this liar, it's going to be the damage to your reputation once I expose you for being the lying piece of shit you are. That is why I'm suing Mt Sinai Church, people, because Victor, the pastor, the bishop of Mt Sinai Church, is a scumbag, a wife cheater, a fucking embezzler, and a pathological liar. And people, that's just the truth. He lied on me. He falsified information on me, and then he created my credibility by having me positioned as an offender when he knew I was the victim. People, that's not a fucking serpent, and that's the devil. And since he chooses to be, I choose to stomp the devil's fucking neck, disseminate his brains in the nicest way possible. So, people, on behalf of justice, on behalf of Operation Rock, on my need to expose the corruption within Staten Island, this is why I'm so around. This is why he's liable. And this is why, once I'm done, I'm going to devote every ounce of energy I have into exposing the corruption on Staten Island. Because see about where you're from, how can you care about where you're going? I care about this. She gave all of her energy to support a bunch of people who betrayed her upon her death. So clearly, I have a mission. I have a vendetta, if you want to call it, to finish the mission of my mother, to expose the corrupt bastards who used her and drank for a side of her while she thought they were good people. If you use my mother, you got some shit coming. I promise you that. So, people, on behalf of justice, because it's 6:30, and on behalf of Operation Rock, that's it. That's why I'm suing Victor Allen Brown. So, Victor, if you're watching, motherfucker, I'm coming. You should be a man, Victor. You should be a true man of the cloth like you claim to be, and apologize to the son of the dead woman who you defamed and tried to fuck up my life. But I seriously doubt you'll do that, because you've never been a man of integrity. You've always been a bald-headed, lustful bitch. Since you want to be a bitch, I'm going to smack you like you with a lawsuit to let you know you just as much of a bitch as I always known you was. You're a clown, Victor Brown. You don't deserve my respect. If you deserve the respect, you would apologize to what for what you did to my mother. But because you lack that integrity, because you're a piece of shit, and because you're a liar, you're incapable of telling the truth. So you're incapable of telling the truth about what you told about Maggie Howard of Stapleton Church to you and make you tell the truth. People, on behalf of justice, on behalf of a son who loved his late mother more than he loves himself, I will die before I let Victor Brown get away with what he did and the things he said about mother, or Francina Evans, or Michael McMahon. So if you are any of these people, if you had any connection to defaming Reverend Howard and fucking harassing me, my mother, I'm coming for you. And that's why Mt Sinai Church is being sued, because Mt Sinai Church and Victor Allen, leader who directed the church in the Arms of Hope Domestic Violence Center, violated my falsified information testimony, so I would be maliciously prosecuted and defamed by not only the Staten Island DA's office, but by, and God, what's the other name of this freaking program? Safe Horizon and the Family Justice Center. Thank you very much. So, people, on behalf of justice, on behalf of the son who has elevated himself just to have the tool, the sword, and the shield necessary to defend himself and to slay his enemies, I am the son of Maggie Howard. And I'm going to sue Victor Brown, Michael McMahon, Debbie Rose, any motherfucker who lied on my mother and helped frame her. You got a problem, and you looking at him, people. This is the son of a dead woman, true. But this son is going to avenge his mother, without a doubt. For justice, people, this is why my Mt Sinai Church is being sued. This is why Victor Brown is going to answer for the things out. And people, if you think I'm lying, all you have to do is go to the history. I literally have a link to where my ex-girlfriend gave this speech. People, you can hear her lying in the speech. Why am I wrong? Because I want this pastor who claimed to be my mother's brother to correct the lies of this woman. People, I'm not wrong. He's wrong because he won't do it. And since he won't do it, I'm going to beat his bitch ass until he do it. So again, people, on behalf of justice, this is why Mt Sinai Church is being sued. Victor Brown, bitch nigga coming.